a spiritual leadership. It's very important for us. And today we are really going through this wonderful process. What Jerry has termed the themes very well. The Monday we start the reformation, deformation, understanding, following, and today transformation. For Jerry has got a wonderful way of presenting the language as well as the theme and the insights. We are very happy to welcome him. And today, after the session, we have got some clarifications or anything you want to ask, please feel free. There will be some 20 minutes extra you to ask some clarifications. For Jerry does not have a telephone number. He has got a email. I will give it to you and you can all follow that. There is a phone number in his community which works sometimes. The email information will be given very rarely. So best thing is he attends to the email always. That's a very good thing. You can ask any clarification or anything. That's a very good thing. And we need people like Jerry. Not a phone is a wonder today. Welcome, Father Jerry. Welcome, Father Jerry.
Quite delighted, very much happy, much more. I am grateful to God for giving me this opportunity of making an international Lenten retreat this year 2022. We began on Monday and today is a Friday. I know Friday in your own respective communities, in your own respective parishes, and certainly will have a number of programs. I could see good number of you who were attending the last 3 or 4 days. Last 3 or 4 days. Could not attend this day's talk. But still, as Father Nitya put it very nicely, this particular day, this talk, this presentation, which will go for a plus or minus about 45 minutes. And afterwards, we'll have some time for some clarification, comes as a climax, as a culmination, as a celebration of our Lenten process, Lenten pilgrimage, the Lenten retreat that we have done this week. And we are on a Friday. And this Friday, like any other Friday, and especially as a Lenten Friday, is a special Friday. Why? We commemorate the Good Friday that happened long ago in the 1st century on the 7th of April in the year 3030, the 1st century. And that is Good Friday. And I am now beginning my reflection and see this very point for your consideration. We call it Good Friday. We call it Good Friday. In a way, it is rather illogical. Illogical. How can we call the Friday Good Friday, which simply consume the very life of Jesus? As I put yesterday, he did not die upon the cross. He got assassinated. He was murdered. He was done away with and was erased from the history. And we call it Good Friday. In a way, nonsense. Nonsense. Well, it doesn't make any sense. It's not, in a way, it's illogical. Illogical. And down this week, we were talking about pain, cross, and that particular gentleman happens to be your Lord and my Lord, your master and my master, carried the cross and climbed the Calvary. And then he gave up his life. And he was forced to give up his life at the age of 32 years and 7 months. And we call it Good Friday. We call it Good Friday. Now look at my reflection. And if that helps you for your retreat meditation, why not? What is that one? Certainly, love to Jesus or for Jesus. And that was a very bad Friday. And worse, if not worst Friday. Worst Friday. But whereas, though it was a worst Friday for Jesus, but it did good to you, good to me, good to the whole mission of God, and did good to the whole cosmos, to the whole creation. Everything and everybody in the totality of God's creation, going by the totality of God's mission, have a new life, and everybody has a new life. That way it did good to us, and we call it Good Friday. Though, I repeat, namely for Jesus, and there was worst Friday. Worst Friday. He went through the pain and the passion and the humiliating, embarrassing death upon the cross. But he did good to us. Good Friday. My dear friends who are listening to me, you should be certainly knowing, but I have highlighted that here point. At the time of Jesus, in the Jewish context, and there were two capital punishments. One was being stoned to death. We find it in Acts of the Apostles chapter 5. Or the adulterous woman was caught to be stoned to death. Chapter 8, John's Gospel. I tell you, compared to crucifixion, the other capital punishment, being stoned to death, was honorable. In even dignified death. Why? When they are stoned to death, by a man or woman, stoned to death, and they were rather clothed. They were clothed. And there is some, when they are put upon the cross, with Jesus encountered, for you and for me, he was naked, highly humiliating, hugely embarrassing, and certainly dehumanizing. It is there I said a little earlier, for Jesus that was a worst Friday. At the young age of 32 years and 7 months, upon the cross, naked, unimaginable, Son of God, unimaginable. But he went through all that so that we will gain life and life in abundance. That is Easter. So all this he went through so that you and I will have a kind of an Easterness in our lives. My dear friends, my dear brothers and sisters, either ordained or consecrated or married, I wish and pray and hope this year 2022, as and when we will be celebrating the we should have gone through a certain Passover, certain changeover, and certain crossover, changeover, Passover, and crossover. That means from one state of life, as we began the Lenten season on the 2nd of March 2022. And then when we come out of the Lenten season on the 17th of April 2022, something should have happened to us. There's a sociological theory that says MAD, mad. But it is not exactly that is what sociologists underline. Sociology says, make a difference. MAD. At the very outset of my presentation today, I like to pray for myself. I pray for you. As I pray for you, also pray over me that this Lenten season 2022 should have passing over, crossing over, and passing over, and there will change over for something better, something better. And as per the Catholic theology, if we are rather bad, so to say, that is in dark, this Lenten season, we should become good. That means we have come to the experience of light, an expression of light, execution of light, from darkness to light. But in case you say, you are and I am already in light at the beginning of the Lenten season of 2022, that's the 2nd of March. And by the time you come through, that is on the 17th of April, next Sunday, when we have to come out good to better and better to best. In the words of Jesus, 34, good. 64, better. 104, best. So change is not only from bad to good. Change is not only from darkness to light. Change is not only hopelessness to fullness. But change also can be good to better. And if it's already better, 60, you have to move toward best 100-fold. And that's Easter. That's Easter. Now making a kind of a quick recap of yesterday, I had linked the thought of today with the same. Yesterday we went through the crosses, the 3 crosses, as per the Catholic theology, martyrdom, martyrology, red cross, red martyrdom, shedding blood for the sake of justice, for the sake of truth, for the sake of human rights, for the sake of the poorest and the least, and being martyred and thereby giving life to others. The grain should die so that it can yield fruits. That is red martyrdom. The second one, I went on to blue martyrdom. That's a sickness, physical sickness, no possibility of getting cured, no diagnosis or no medication, no treatment, no surgery. It happens to be successful. And they, at the time, instead of murmuring against God of life, offering every pain or every God has got his body, and the body suffers, and that's the cross, blue martyrdom. And then I moved on to white martyrdom, white cross. I certainly highlighted very much yesterday. I don't mind underlining it again today, because practically a good number of us are expected. That is shedding blood. Yet not except that one, we go through struggles and sufferings. They may be poo-pooed when we speak the truth out. They may be humiliated. We may be suppressed. We may be sidelined. Or when you are working in the dioceses or working in our religious congregations, when you speak for truth and justice, and we may be even transferred to a remote place. It happens. There is no point in denying that one. And where electricity may be absent, running water may be absent. But that's a suffering, that's a white martyrdom. And at the time, and the suffering that we go through in the particular context, in the remotest area, where the basic needs are not available, there's a pain, there's a cross, there's a Calvary. And we partake in the passion of the Lord. And St. Paul says, Jesus has left us a portion of the passion so that everyone will have the duty to carry the cross. Why? If you and I should have the role to enjoy in the resurrection of Jesus, and we need to put in the condition, and the condition is carrying the cross, going through the passion, white cross. Or you may be a married person. I have to give that particular detail. And at that particular time, the family and everything goes on well. But it's simple things. And there is a kind of a breakup among the couples. Or children don't understand. And you say it with good intention. But the children, your daughters and sons, who are so kind till the previous day, now they react. Now they protest. They disobey you. Much more misunderstand you, and you are not ready to receive your greeting. And certainly as parents, as father, mother, you will suffer because of your own children are denying you. Your own children, so to say, are not ready to listen to you. Certainly that would be a huge passion. That's a cross. It can also happen the other way about. Children want to say, the parents are not ready to listen. And the children have got certain, what you call noble alternatives to go by. They want to propose a variety of responses, so to say, of an issue or to a concern. But the parents say, no, you're all children, kids. Okay, they are kids. But we know the upcoming generation of the modernized world of today, they have certain wisdom, they have certain exposure, certain experience, and they like to put in their expression. And when the parents are not ready to listen, it can happen. Children go through white martyrdom, white cross. So my dear brothers and sisters, my dear friends, as you're listening to me anywhere, everywhere right now, and what we saw yesterday certainly makes a mark, so to say, that you and I cannot escape cross in our life. Jesus' sentence which I quoted yesterday, verse number 23, chapter number 9, Gospel according to St. Luke. Jesus says, if you want to be my follower, carry your cross. Look at another one. Carry your cross daily. But the cross is not going to be the end. And the Good Friday is not going to be the end. You have certainly come across the famous saying, we cannot jump from Palm Sunday to Easter Sunday. We have to pass through the Good Friday, the painful Passion Friday. As I said earlier, it's not exactly good, but bad, if not worst Friday, painful Friday, passion-filled Friday. But that particular Friday will deliver Easter Sunday. As said in the very word of God, namely the delivery, the labor pain a woman goes through is ultimately results in the birth of a new child, and the pain disappears, the passion decreased, and joy is amplified. And seeing the new child, newborn, new baby, even the very woman and the mother who went through painful labor are now cheerful and charming. Easter Sunday. I tell you, Jesus was not condemned because he multiplied the loaves and fishes. And Jesus was not crucified because he performed miracles. Not because he healed the sick, raised the dead, and much more. Also told wonderful and very inviting, inspiring parables and stories. Not because he walked through villages and towns, meeting everyone, and also making himself accessible, available. And not because he was very sensitive to the needs of the others and thereby responded to them. He was not condemned for this. But now I have to put it, as I now enter into further thoughts of mine during this presentation. He was condemned, was crucified for demanding justice, for proclaiming truth, for challenging the top class, for going against the currents, and for rebelling against the hypocrites of his day, and even criticizing the so-called and the religious groups of Pharisees and Sadducees, because they got stuck with the traditionalism and they are perpetuating classism, and they are permanentizing what we call exclusivism, and he could not stomach, and much more, a protested against any oppressive system, whether in the social field, economic field, or political field, cultural field, and also in the religious field. And he could not stomach how the Jerusalem was functioning at that time. All this went against him. Since he went against the system, and the system went against him, and they sucked his blood, and then culled out his life, and put him upon the cross nakedly. Again, that's not the end. Easter comes. Here I like to move on. I like to quote here the words of Saint Augustine, the Bishop of Hippo, doctor of the church, who lived in the 4th century. And we have got a collection of the sermons of Saint Augustine. And one of the Easter sermons, Saint Augustine puts this way. Bishop Augustine, Saint Augustine, or the Diocese of Hippo, Africa, 4th century. And he puts this way, namely, we are an Easter people. We are an Easter people. Alleluia is our song. Alleluia is our song. He gave a twist. You know, that particular day, as per the information, he was celebrating the Easter Sunday liturgy. And there was a congregation, the community gathered there for that celebration. And that was at the time started singing, glorifying Easter Jesus. Augustine, the bishop, seemed to have stopped and blocked that singing, praising and glorifying Easter Jesus. He had a message to give. It is not Easter Jesus alone. And he was living in the 4th century. Then he made it a point. That is about 3-4 centuries ago, Easter Jesus. And the crucifixion, in the humiliating crucifixion, was not the end of the road. And God raised him up. God raised him up. So Easter Jesus, Alleluia, was his song at that time. Look at the thought of Saint Augustine. Then Saint Augustine, the sermon, highlighted this way. We are an Easter people of the 4th century. There was Easter Jesus of the 1st century. And we are the Easter people of the 4th century. Then he made this point. In the Lenten season, so to say, you have gone through certain renewal. You have gone through certain reformation. You have gone through certain renovation. You have gone through certain reflection. You have gone through certain radicalization. All put together, we should have become an Easter people. To what an extent we have become? To that extent, Alleluia is our song. You really appreciate for this profound thought of Saint Augustine. And even the coming 17th of April, when we would be celebrating Easter of this year 2022, my dear friends, I suggest that you pass on this information, good news, at the same time, a challenge to all your friends and dear and near ones. It is not Easter Jesus alone. And we are expected to become Easter people. What does it mean when we say Easter people? The last 40 plus days, we have got further enlightened. And as far as we are concerned, the last 5 days, I have put it my own way. Certainly would have reflected on my points. The Spirit of God would have told you much more. And you cannot deny the enlightenment that you went through, not because of Jerry, my thoughts, but because of your prayer and meditation. What I gave was only a kind of a lead thoughts. And certainly you would have pondered over them, prayed over them, meditated over them, and certainly even deliberated over them. In your own communities or in your own families, you would have discussed over them, I hope. And thereby you would have shared your insights, you would have shared your inspirations, and you would have shared your messages and reflections, whatnot. By all these things, we got enlightened. Easter, enlightened, only beginning point. What's the next one? We got encouraged. The more and more enlightenment, the more and more encouragement, so that we will grow in grace and faith and wisdom and grow in God's favor. And much more, grow in the ability and the quality of being the beloved children of God our Father and Mother. So enlightenment plus encouragement plus empowerment. As I said on the very first day, with all our prayers and fasting, with all our mindset changes and moving out, reaching out, stretching out, with a hand of solidarity, and thereby really networking with all others in our own local communities and local churches. And certainly, we would have found a new strength has come into us, a new power has come into us, and we got empowered by the Spirit of God, by the Spirit of the risen Jesus, by the Holy Spirit. In a way, it's a Pentecostal experience for us all. And every Lenten season is supposed to be like that. And all the more, this Lenten season 2022, which we are now making through this international retreat program, so that we have certain enlightenment, certain encouragement to move ahead, to journey onward and forward, and certain empowerment by the very Spirit of God, all put together. E. That is enlightenment, encouragement, empowerment, all the three put together. Easterness. That's Easter. You're not getting enlightened for nothing. You're not getting encouraged again for nothing. You are empowered again for nothing, but for something. And something should happen to us. That's the title today. 3 Easter channels for transformation. And we went through 3 Lenten patterns for reformation. Then 3 temptations of deformation. Then 3 pains. Even Jesus had it. And we need to understand we cannot escape from the pains. And I highlighted 3 pains. Then 3 crosses that we need to follow one after the other. When we say we are disciples, done the last 4 days. And today, I'm coming to the focal issue and concern. 3 Easter channels for transformation. I'm going to put it in certain order. The first one is personal transformation. It should begin with each and every one of us. They may belong to a community, they may belong to a diocese, they may belong to a congregation, they may belong to a family. That's all secondary, tertiary. But each one is unique. Though we are part of the totality of the community and society, but still each one is unique. And each one, during this particular Lenten season, and by or before the Easter, we need to really come up in certain transformational process. I'm going to give you some examples. I'll kindly take them for some consideration, but you don't need to go only by my examples, but you can also go by your own examples, your own experiences, so that something or other happens to you and happens to me in terms of personal transformation. And look at the details. Personal transformation. By the time when we celebrate the Easter Sunday, 17th of April, we should have become more kind, more compassionate, more human, that they more divine, more charitable, or more accessible, more sociable. I'm using M-O-R-E, more. What I mean is, already we are charitable, already we are kind, but transformation demands Then we push the post up and raise the standard and move further. And the Easterness should make us more kind and more charitable, more compassionate, more human, and more cheerful, more forgiving, more inclusive. They can go on. I leave it to you, my dear friends. Choose your own, but put M-O-R-E. That means we make a difference, M-A-D. And we add certain qualities. But that is okay, 2nd of March, Ash Wednesday of this year. But something more should have happened. Transformation on 17th of April this year, Easter Sunday. Then, as St. Augustine says, we are an Easter person and we are Easter people. Alleluia is our song. I here like to quote what Pope Francis in some of the talks, he puts it in a very simple way. But when I ponder over, those sound simple, but they are very demanding. Possibly you would have come across, because Pope Francis has said this one in some other context, but I like to link it and put it in this present context of my presentation, and that is personal transformation. He says, how come we lost some of the vocabulary and the words which should be on our lips all the time? For example, thank you. We expect others to be grateful, but we take time to say thanks to others. Thanks not only to our friends, but even thanks for working with us. Maybe cooking our food, sweeping our floor, or keeping our church clean, or washing the utensils, or who is supplying vegetables to our housing flat. We know they are selling. They know we are buying. But still they come. Though we may pay, but still certain humanity, certain humaneness. Nothing we are going to miss when we say thank you so much. Thank you. It's not simple, but kind of a solid way of proceeding. Or when we make the mistake, okay, we may show that we are feeling sorry. But what about dropping the word sorry? Very sorry. Indeed sorry. We may be parents and we have made mistake. And we have done something in a way against or to our own children. Okay, they are our children. But still nothing is going to bring us down. Nothing we are going to lose. Even though we are father, mother, parent, but still we say sorry to our children. My dear darling daughter, sorry. Son, sorry. Indeed sorry. I tell you that certainly will be a great manifestation of Easternness in one's life. Because it calls for certain humility. And the humility part of spirituality. And the spirituality is part of divinity. Divinity. When we don't mind asking for pardon from those who may are rather younger to us, and or maybe working under some category in our own official places or in our own communities, maybe superiors. Okay, they are youngsters. And the member is only a junior, not even finally professed. But something we have said, and we know the person got hurt by that. Why not? Sorry. Or another one, you know it, please. And we may be higher-ups. As per our authority power, we can always order. But still, there's a certain humanity way of proceeding. And the human way of proceeding is nothing but Please bring. When it's brought, thank you. And it certainly establishes certain cordiality. And the human relationships really gets increased such a way that certainly reveals and discloses certain spirituality within and the participation in the divinity. I tell you, Pope Francis only refers to these three, which are sorry, thanks, please. But I like to add one more, because that's also needed in today's world. What is that one? Say congratulations, extending appreciations. I tell you, it becomes a little bit of problem in the world of today. When somebody has done something very wonderful, something done very creatively, something done nobly, it needs certain nobility on the part of us to appreciate and acknowledge and much more congratulate and salute the person. And I tell you, that will give a certain mutual trust. And we encourage one another so that all can grow in God's favor. Personal transformation. This is because being the last day, I wanted to put it in a very, very simple, straight, at the same time, practical and possible way. As I said earlier, I'll leave it to you. After this particular presentation, and we have got days to go by, and at the time, tomorrow, day after, anyway, you discuss the matter and much more, discuss within yourself, and then pick up one or the other for your personal transformation. The examples that I gave may work. If you like to work even beyond, go by your own context. But my request is, my appeal is, I call upon you, choose at least one or two, so that the personal transformation, the Easterness will come into each one's life. Your life, my life, and the life of each and every one of us. I move to the second channel, because in the title we have put 3 Easter channels. I just finished the first channel, personal Easter channel for transformation. Now I go to church, ecclesial, on the church level. When I say church, I'm not referring to Pope Francis alone. I'm not referring to the bishops and archbishops alone. I'm not only referring to the ordained priests and deacons and consecrated alone. They should know we are the church. And in the church of today, 99.999% is people of God. It is the upcoming synod talks about the right of everyone who is baptized to take part in the synodal process. Now, I'm going to take the same example, the synodal process, because I got something to share with you in that particular respect. And what is that one? We started last year, 11th of October 2021. Sorry, 10th of October 2021. Happened to be a Sunday last year. And that was the day when Pope Francis, in the name of the whole Catholic Church, inaugurated and initiated the synod on synodality, a process. Why? The 10th of October came close to 11th of October. Why 11th of October was the opening day of the Second Vatican Council, happened in the year 1962. But whereas now Pope Francis now calls for 2 years participation of every baptized person. That means you and I and everyone, young and old, men and women, educated, uneducated, whether it's urbanites or ruralites, whether they are ordained, whether they are consecrated, etc., etc. And I tell you, it's a very, very novel idea. It up to now it was taken for granted. Now the Pope is now throwing the spotlight on the synodality, and demanding that we need to go through a synodal process. In the world over, there are 1.37 billions of Catholics. In Indian language, 137 crores of people. Roughly makes up about 16% of the world population. Another way of putting it, every sixth person who is walking on the planet called the Earth is a Catholic today. Whether practicing, non-practicing, but they are baptized in the Catholic Church. For the first time in the history of the Catholic Church, the present Pope Francis is inviting all, without any exemption whatsoever, all the 1.37 billion people in the world and everywhere, whichever color, whichever race, and whichever class, whichever caste, and whichever country, whichever continent, all are called to participate. I tell you, this very proposal is fantastic. The more and more that you reflect, I get really fascinated by this idea. In one of the journals coming from England, titled The Tablet, and there was a write-up, an article. And I read a particular observation made in that article coming from London, England, The Tablet. They said, this may be the first time in the history of total humanity where 1/6 of the total humanity is going through a new process. A kind of a process of listening to one another, a process of speaking to one another, the process of reflecting and walking, journeying together, and the process of searching together. And there are about 10 questions or themes are given by the synodal process. And one or the other will certainly appeal to each and every one of us. All the 10 may or may not, but certainly one or the other will appeal. And Pope Francis puts that one. You take that particular one and then speak with others. And others may have certain points to make. Listen to them. And you should have certain quality to listen, at the same time, ability to speak up. And no fear, no votes. And there's a kind of interaction. So much so Pope Francis says, at the end of the 2-year synodal process, as and when it gets over in the month of October 2023, is the preparatory document says, or the way of proceeding document says, namely, we are not expecting a big document. That is not the product that is being expected of. But the point is, it's not document. What is going to come out? That is not the point yet. The 2 years should give us a new experience, building our contacts, building our connectivities, and building our mutuality, building our solidarity, and bringing our fraternity, and growing in liberty, and coming up in equality, and thereby harmony of the society. What a fantastic and very tremendous inspiration on the part of Pope Francis. And he has put it there as an invitation, open invitation for all of us to participate. We need to really applaud, and then we need to really appreciate and give a round of applause to Pope Francis for the very idea. Whether this is going to be successful at the end, he himself says in one of the interviews, I'm not concerned about it. But he says he has set the ball rolling. Now let us now come to our own. That means by or before the end of this Lenten season, we need to go through certain and the Easter channel in terms of church channel for transformation. What is that one? In case, I'm putting conditionally. In case you are not yet got involved in the synodal process, go through a conversion. Go through a metanoia. and take interest and get involved. This open invitation should not be left aside. Each one should be taking part in one way or other. As I said a little earlier, okay, there are 10 themes are given. You maybe, or you would have been already been informed, or at least kind of handbills or leaflets would have been passed on. My request is namely that you kind of get a copy of that and go through the 10 themes. One or the other will be rather relevant for you, or come very close to your heart and mind. And you are interested in one or the other 10. It may be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. The number is not the question here. Even if it is only 1, I call upon you as a Eastered person and going through a transformation in the church level before the end of this month of April, because coming is a Passion Week, and the first phase of the synodal process anyway comes to a close by the end of month of April. But you can take some time. We are only on the 8th of April, and solid about 3 weeks to go. And that particular time, meet 1 or 2 persons. Here again, another novel idea on the part of Pope Francis in terms of the synodal process. You don't need to get only opinions from fellow Catholics. You can also get it from people of other churches. You are working in a place. There you know your friend is a Lutheran or an Anglican, belonging to this church or the other church. Okay, you talk to him. The Catholic is going through a synodal process, and you're asking in terms of those 10, whichever the point that you are going to highlight. Get his opinions, get her opinions, and get his responses, get her responses, and put up in a nutshell. And then pass it on to your parish priest, or pass it on to the diocesan synodal cell, or pass it on. It's all possibilities are galore. Pass it on online, even to higher, that means even to Rome. Things are there. And we are living at a time, all these possibilities are available. And we have to only tap those available channels. And look at one more detail. Okay, you are not that comfortable with the other churches, so to say, or you don't have people of Lutheran, Anglican with you in your working spot. Okay, in the document says you can take the same 10 questions, any one of them, and even get the opinions of people who belong to other religions. They may have something to say about the Catholic Church, and you are contributing. Then you are listening to them. You know, you're also getting changed, and you're also getting transformed. Then you begin to love the church. Then you begin to see the church to grow. And the critical comments even given by the people of other religions, their opinions come to you to push you up. It may be immediately a little painful when you listen to the criticism. That is Good Friday. But still, it's for the gain of the church. That is Easter Sunday. Look at one more detail. The very document says you can also get the opinions of people who do not believe in God. What we say, atheists, or in other words, non-believers. They may say they have nothing to do with them, but they also belong to our humanity. They are also created by God. They may not believe in God, but God loves them. And they are also part of our human family. And accordingly, we cannot simply orphan them. And this is the best time. And at the time you present that I am a believer, I'm a Catholic priest, or a Catholic sister, or Catholic what we call brother, or Catholic layman, laywoman, or Catholic children, Catholic youngster, whichever your ID. But this is the way to really come into certain rapport, certain networking, and certain collaborating. and certain collaborating and cooperating, collaborating for the sake of common cause. And so that we really become better, transformed, including the church and also humanity at large, getting transformed. And when you now make the dialogue, then we know why they don't believe in God. Possibly because we are not witnessing to the faith that we are. And much more, our lives are not edifying, inspiring. And we cannot find fault with them because they don't believe in God, because they are noticed. The people of God do not really go by the dictates of God, or much more dictates of one's own conscience. So we learn, they grow. That's an ecclesial or church level transformation. I end it by saying we are in a very, very happy time of synodal process, focusing on synodality. And the synod is going to take place only next year, 2023, October. But we are in that process. For the first time, we are all called to be part of the process. And we can look at the way I'm concluding, more and more interested, more and more involved, more and more incarnated in this particular synodal process, thereby contributing for the growth of the church, contributing to the grace of the church, contributing for the transformation of the church. And we are the church, and we grow, church grows. When the church grows, we grow. Why not? From there, I move on to the third channel, and that is going to be the end of my presentation. And that is in terms of social level. If the first channel is personal level, Easter channel for reformation, transformation. First is personal level. The second is the church level. Now I'm coming to the last point, that is society level. Thank God we are living at a time when it has come to our consciousness very squarely. What is that one? We cannot accomplish comprehensively God's mission unless and until we network with others. Others means other organizations, other movements, other NGOs, other associations. The second, church level should not make us churchy. Church is a sacrament. And certainly we are part of that sacrament. We are privileged to be part of that sacrament. And we really participate in the sacramental life of the church. At the same time, you know, as I put it a little earlier, only 1/6 of the humanity belongs to a Catholic Church. Okay, another 1/6, they belong to other churches. Even put together, only 1/3 of the humanity, even after 2000 years of Jesus' mission, and they are only Christians, other 2/3 or other out of Christianity. And there was a time when we were putting them down. But we are living in the post-Second Vatican Council. There's the famous document, Church in the Modern World, invites us to look rather kindly toward other religions. God, in all his generosity, in all his magnanimity, has revealed himself to recognize the presence of God in others. And when that happens, coming to our one, we are ready to work with them, and we are ready to network with others. I tell you, this may or may not be very applicable to the priests or the sisters and brothers, or what I mean, maybe diocesan priests or much more consecrated men and women. They may or may not. I'm not saying it should not, but would not possibly, or could not possibly. But I'm making a very special appeal to the lay men and women who are listening to me, and those who are belonging to various families, because various countries, because this particular Lenten retreat is being extended also to their families around the world. And you are in a very, very special position. You have got a very special privilege. You are part of the wider societal context. priests and sisters and brothers, including me, we live in certain compounds and campuses and certain institutions, and there is a certain amount of limitation. We cannot deny the fact. Whereas you, my dear friends, men and women, and the people at large, the families, young and old, parents and children and youngsters and whatnot, you are in a very, very better privileged position. In time and out of time, you are in touch with the wider society. Now you give the message. Namely, we have come of age. This Lenten season has given us a new orientation. Not that anything very, very new, but something we need to act upon. And why not from this Lenten season onward? And this Easter 2022, which we will be celebrating on the April the 17th, gives us that push up, so that we will come up in total solidarity with the wider society, and thereby working for the national good, common good, for the human good, and for cosmic good. I am ending with that note. In case there are movements and association clubs or NGOs in your own given locality who are working for the greening the earth, it is missed for the cosmic justice, environmental justice. And don't say that we have nothing to do with that one, because that's also part of God's creation, and we have got a responsibility. And network with them. And I'd like to also end with a very pointed, short, and a practical note, because now it is 6:30, I'm ending my presentation. And with a practical note, because that I have thought about it, I don't want to end my presentation without mentioning. What is that? You keep your homes and keep your household very clean. But why not? From this Easter of 2020, even sweep and keep something clean just outside your own compound on campus. We thought that is only corporation, municipality, government should do. And thereby our family becomes good Samaritan family and taking care of the locality in our own small space, in small place. There's also green ministry and a cosmic service. And seeing us and seeing you, they will ask how it happens. And you can say, we are also Eastern people. And we need to Easter the cosmos and transform the beauty of the world at large. I wish you all the best, my dear friends. I'm concluding here the 3 Easter channels for transformation. Personal transformation, church ecclesial transformation. The third is social and cosmic transformation.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Father Jerry. This is a wonderful week, a week of grace for all of us. From different countries, we have profited a lot by your reflections. Thank you so much for your inspiring messages, also for your guidelines, for practical guidelines, action plans, personal, communitarian, social, cosmic. Thank you very much also for your availability in spite of your heavy schedule. And this season of Lent, you are filled with too many activity. Already you are preaching a retreat. This additional, today is a Friday, but still you have kept up the rhythm to give us a variety of thinking, a wonderful models, 3 by 3, 50.